Good morning. I am here with.
Hi, I'm Christine Rebstock from Middletown, Connecticut.
And how can people find you on social media or get in touch with you if they want to talk to you?
Christine Rebstock, R-E-B as in boy, S-T-O-C-K on Facebook, Instagram, and Christine, R-E-B-S-T-1 on X, or as we know as Twitter.
Okay. So we have a couple of topics here that you find yourself wanted to discuss or are passionate about. And the first question or the first topic you'd like to talk about is, what is a woman? So in your own definition, like, what do you think a woman is, or would you define a woman as?
Well, since the Secretary of Education, Miguel Cardona, a Meridian native such as I am, he couldn't answer the question when it was posed to him. So, to him and everyone else, a woman is an adult human female.
What exactly is a female to you?
Females, someone born with female body parts that could reproduce babies. They have a vagina, ovaries. They could get pregnant and have periods.
Okay. Would you consider yourself a woman?
No, I'm a trans woman. I want people to view me as a woman in the public, and knock on wood, I do. But my natal sex can't change. See, I can't get pregnant. I can't have periods.
Okay.
So I'm a trans woman.
Okay, so on to our next question. How many genders are there?
2, and sex is binary.
What makes you think that?
Well, you were born male, you were born female. Those who birth defect born intersex with both reproductive parts still will live as a male or female. So that's 2. There's not 3. There's not 53.
What do you say to everyone that says that they're more than 2 or they're infinites? Because every time I hear the discussion, there's a different number every time.
I said, well, live your life happily, but don't claim to be trans. Reality says you're a man or you're a woman, and if you have dysphoria, you transition to live as the opposite sex. So it's still 2 genders.
Okay, speaking about gender dysphoria, what is gender dysphoria?
Or as it was called until 2013, gender identity disorder. It's a medical and mental health condition. We have problems with our gender identity. For myself, I have repulsed on my natural body parts for years and years. It was tough to live with.
Okay, was that like something from your childhood or something that developed as you got older?
Let's say I was about 12, 13. This is the late 70s, early 80s, around that time. I remember to be 79 when we had to wait for half a mile for gas, and you had to use odd evening on your license plates for the gas rationing under the fabulous Jimmy Carter years. But did I know I was dysphoric then? Probably not. Again, we didn't have cable TV. You had an encyclopedia. You had to actually look up and read definitions in the book. We didn't have social media.
So how would you compare gender dysphoria to the teachings or subjects that they're introducing to children in school?
I'll use myself, the 12-year-old me. I was gender confused. I was confused about my gender. As we went through my natural puberty in course of time, I had real problems with it. It developed through the course of time. I probably wish I had done something about it in my mid-late 20s, early 30s, rather than wait until I was over 50. But I maintain that, we're having 5th grade elementary school kids with papers asking if you identify as a different gender, if you have different pronouns. When it's introduced like this, and between social media, how many young kids are on TikTok? So you're going to be thinking, hey, trans is cool, it's a thing. And it's where kids are getting the idea of what, really, in reality, trans people were under 1% of the population. We really shouldn't be, we're just a little blip on society, but because of this contagion going on, the young people, not such a big deal. This is what we would call, a few people call transgenderism, gender ideology, queer theory. And the tenets of that, it really is catering to non-dysphoric people with their gender non-conforming ways. And a couple examples include, but not limiting to, is the sexualization and medical transition of minor age children, and due to self-ID laws, women's spaces being violated.
Okay. Speaking of medical transitioning, what are your thoughts on medically transitioning children or medically transitioning adults? Is there such a thing as a point where we shouldn't do it? Or we do it whenever, do certain types of transitions, maybe just social, medical, or any other types of transitions that I may not be aware of?
Well, I maintain that, well, yeah, Lupron is in puberty blockers. They are administered to children under 14. We had a Twitter space, X space, with the Transsexual Unity page back in June. And the subject was Pride Month. Is it really worth it? And then about 46 minutes into this space, an 18-year-old girl named Caitlin joined in. She's got osteoporosis and spinal stenosis. And she was put on puberty blockers at age 8. So her life is pretty much ruined. And when I had a medical procedure, colonoscopy last year, talked to one of the nurses about, she asked me what's going on in the schools. She said she had a neighbor that was on puberty blockers, again, at a young age, and she grew to about, 4 feet 11 inches, and she's miserable with that. Lupron is one of the ingredients, and that's used to castrate sex offenders. So if you're going to castrate sex offenders, are we telling people that it's safe and reversible for children? I can't understand this one. That's why I say we should slow down with the children. It sucks, but you have to go through your puberty. You're going to know you're dysphoric when you go through it. So we should wait till at least their legal age.
Do you have any idea what would be an age that people should be semi-okay with? There are people that believe there's no such thing as transitioning at all. But
Yeah,
do you believe that there's an age where maybe we should let the individual make the choice?
Legal age is 18. But we need plenty of therapy. Mental health is a big aspect of trans healthcare, and it seems to be minimized. Look at the word that was changed in 2013 when I mentioned gender identity disorder. That word disorder just triggered people.
Yeah, when I was in the military, that was a disqualifying thing to have. Any sort of psychological disorder was a disqualifying condition from you joining the military. But now our military is paying for the transition and creating circumstances to allow trans individuals to serve. How do you view that?
Military going woke. The military is we need our defense, and we're going to be tested, unfortunately, I think, but we cannot bow to diversity, equity, and inclusion agendas in our military. If a person transitions, they could do the job without accommodating any special conditions. We can't lower standards. We can't alter dress code in the military.
Okay. So,
we can't compromise anything.
So what are your thoughts on the trans athletes in the sports world?
I say this. I am considered a woman in the United States Bowling Congress. I could bowl elite level tournaments, meaning Team USA. Well, I'm too old. I'm going to be 60 in 3 years. So that'd be senior Team USA. Or we have the Masters, that's like golf has their major. We have one in bowling. The women's equivalent is the Queens, run by the United States Bowling Congress. I could bowl that, the senior one, but I won't. I bowled 3 women's events. 2 were considered recreational. One was the New England Bowlers Association, which here has been established in 1963. It's one of the Northeast. It's a very prestigious bowling organization. We've had professionals past and present bowl. So I bowled a women's event, the women's tournament, 2001 summer, August, that's right. I didn't bowl well. And I had to bowl to one high qualifier to one seed, and she made quick work of me. But I never bowled a second one. You want to know why? Because someone named Leah Thomas came on the scene. As we got into about this time of year around Thanksgiving.
And what did that do for you?
I'll just say this: Leah Thomas followed. We do have time and medical guidelines to compete. She followed them, so she did not cheat. But it was a bad optic. It opened my eyes. So that's why I never bowled an elite level women's event again.
So Leah Thomas coming into prominence is what dissuaded you from competing in women's sports?
Yeah. No. If I bowl a recreational league, let's say we have one of the local bowling centers around here. We'll just use Bolorama because it's close. Suppose they had a women's league that was 20 years ago, 20 teams with 4 people on a team, and now it's struggling to be 6 teams with 3 bowlers on, and that 6 team only has 2 women. And if they can't find a third, they'll drop out of the league and the whole league will fold. What the owner says, hey, can you fill this spot? This is based on your scores on handicap by average. So a higher average bowler will have to give handicap pins to make it fair. And this is the type of league where you're not turning anyone away. You just bowl and you have a drink after. I don't think anyone have a problem with me bowling something like that on a recreation level, but national, but when we're talking professional sports, Olympics, state, local, regional, national championships, and NCAA sports, I think we have to kind of draw the line, say no, it's not a good optic.
So you believe that as a trans individual, you have an advantage, or in other sports, trans athletes would have advantages?
The younger version of me in bowling, who was, let's say, about in their late 20s and more fit than they could dominate certain lane patterns in bowling, yes. Especially the more physical sports. I'll tell you what, if you're really dysphoric, you're going to medically transition, you're going to be on hormone replacement therapy, and part of that is spironolactone, and that's a testosterone blocker. It'll castrate you chemically only in about 3-4 months or so. So you're going to be weakened. And your estrogen, you're going to grow. See, people call me wearing a costume. Well, these aren't a costume. I can't take them off. A surgeon has to remove them. But our bone structure is still the same. And
okay.
So, I think we have to take a second look at it.
So it should be on a sport-by-sport or case-by-case basis?
Well, if people want to get rid of trans women in women's sports, here's the roadmap. I think it's up to the people, we the people, if you want. Contact the rules directors at the International and United States Olympics and Paralympic Committee. If you want to call for a ban on trans women in women's sports, do that. And the NCAA. Those 3 organizations control basically everything in this when it comes to trans women.
Okay. A lot of people, they see you go into these meetings, the Board of Ed, different organizations where you speak out against different trans issues. You associate with the Moms for Liberty, which is viewed as an extremist group that wants book bans and all of these other things. So with your association with Moms for Liberty and the things you do, how do people treat you? How does the LGBT community treat you? How does the Moms for Liberty treat you? How does the other people that are fighting for the same things you're fighting for treat you?
Well, I'm not. Moms for Liberty, Harford County isn't the only parental rights group I have alliances with. Family Institute of Connecticut. There's an op-ed in CT Mirror and I have a link. There's a link in there to their Let Parents Parent proposed bill. And I've spoken at Parental Rights Lobby Day with Family Institute of Connecticut, Moms for Liberty, Hartford County, and Families for Freedom. They all put that together. And the new organization that's starting in Greenwich, David Holman, I was on his show in late October, and that's the Greater Education Council of Connecticut. So I'm going to have little alliances with several parental rights groups. LGBT people, if they promote gender ideology, I am a terror. I am dangerous to the community. I'm a traitor. I'm a sellout.
Have you ever experienced violence from any of the communities?
No, but after the October Moms for Liberty Symposium in Avon, we were harassed as we entered the community room where the event was, and then we exit the symposium. These are the people with Stop the Hate, Love Wins, Inclusion, Trans Rights are Human Rights shirts. Everyone was wearing those and waving the Pride flag, the BLM flags. Well, they weren't really ones to show the love. They gave me a lot of harassment. In fact, the Avon Cares Facebook page, they blocked me for sticking up for Moms for Liberty. So, you know what? I said, hey, you guys are transphobic to me.
How did they respond to that?
They just, they wouldn't respond. So many people, they don't want to have discourse. It's not book banning, as you said.
Okay, what about, I'm sure with your cause, you probably meet a lot of Republicans that want the same thing. What is your treatment like from those individuals?
Believe it or not, mostly good. We do have people who are what we call gender critical, and they don't like trans people. Some don't like the ideology. So
what is gender critical, by the way?
People are critical. They don't believe that gender dysphoria is real. So they kind of have negative views. Many of them, though, if they hear me speak, hey, wow, thank you for supporting us. Now I have support. But there's others in the activist part, like our trans activist and every extreme part of the group, they don't want nothing to do with it. Okay. You're still evil. But for most part, most Republicans and conservatives I've talked to, that includes the radio show host, the TV host I've dealt with, and politicians, they're pretty good. They're good to me. So
you only have issues from the extremes?
Yes.
Of both sides?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and they've been letting me know about things too lately.
Oh,
so unfortunately, like when I'm on the radio a lot, there's only 3 callers that have problems with me on the air, and one of them, he took things further. When Moms for Liberty had their monthly meeting in September, and they put a little flyer out on their website, they asked me to attend, and they moved the meeting to Thursday to accommodate my work schedule, as I work evenings, Mondays through Wednesdays, and the weekends. So I posted on Twitter or X saying, hey, thanks for inviting me. And why is a dude in dress supporting Moms for Liberty? Why is Moms for Liberty supporting this? And these extreme gender critical people got a hold of it, and they just bashed me. And then I made it the way to Facebook with some of the quote liberal extremists. Seeing, look at this, what the right's eating this person up. And
so the extremes on both sides are teaming up against you.
And I'll just say it's not been a good Christmas season.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Well, I have God in my life, so today's struggles will be tomorrow's prosperity, good things.
Okay, well, here in a minute, you'll get the opportunity to bring up any topic you want, and I will finally give my opinion on some of them, because it was kind of difficult to just sit here and listen to stuff and not be able to talk about it. So here in a minute, it's going to be my opportunity to give my feedback on stuff. Be back. So we're back here with Christine. We just asked her some questions. Now we're just gonna have a discussion. I'm gonna give her my thoughts and opinion or different views on different subjects and see what are her thoughts on it. Maybe she can convince me one way or the other, or Christine will educate you guys and educate me on things that I was not aware of. So, the first thing that we're going to talk about is the 18 versus 21. So, I am of the opinion that the legal age for drinking, smoking, owning a handgun is 21. Why should we wait only until 18 if we're not responsible enough at 18 to drink alcohol? Why are we responsible enough to change our body's chemistry? I believe even for the military, we should raise the age to 21 or put everything at 18. How can we be responsible enough to go to the military, go to foreign countries with weapons of war, destroy buildings, cities, and lives, but we're not responsible enough to own weapons or drink alcohol or smoke tobacco? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'll say now, as the Executive Director of Media and Communications for LGBTS United, or new organization of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transsexual people to fight gender ideology. We don't support the sexualization and medical transition of minor age kids. You brought up that point. When I was in college in Buffalo, drinking age was 19 in New York, and we're 18. And it went up to 21 come New Year's Day. So, but we're close enough to Canada where the drinking age is 18. So maybe we can learn from Canada on that. Yes, there is a double standard. Yeah, you can't drink at 21, but you can defend your country. I think both things have to be aligned. And then whatever it is the legal age, and that should be the legal age for medical transition.
Oh, okay. So earlier you brought up the sports issue. Well, technically I asked you the question. But so I particularly am confused as to how we should deal with this, because a lot of the activists claim that gender is a social construct, gender is a made up thing, gender is how you feel. So why do we even need women's sports in the first place? If that is the case, we should eradicate women's sports because it's discriminatory against men. And an all men sports is discriminatory against women. And that would totally negate the trans in women's sports argument, because in that situation, everyone is agreeing to the same rules. I am going to compete with people that are of different sex, different whatever. Like, what do you think about that?
Like co-ed, make everything co-ed?
Yeah, make everything co-ed. Even the competitive sports, make them co-ed. There's no difference.
Instead of the WNBA and NBA, just make it a co-ed?
Yeah, just make it the NBA, and the women basketball players will play. I don't follow sports, so I can't name you any of the people.
Now, do you have to have X amount of women to be on the rosters?
That is a good question, but since we're all equal, they'll have an equal chance to get on there.
Does equality become equity? That's another thing.
I personally think equity is a very evil thing, because
I agree.
It tells people that you are different or you are better than another person. Hey, because that person is black, we need to give them extra than the white person. Why? They've had it harder. They're not as good as you, so we have to give them extra leeway. Oh, that's a woman. She's not as strong as you. We have to lower the standards for her. I think it just reinforces the idea of superiority, whether it be about sex or gender, religion, whatever.
Like I said, recreational sports, I don't see it as a huge problem. Obviously, you would have to have trans women meet the time and medical guidelines. And what I would suggest would be the USA Swimming, which is your testosterone levels in the U.S. are measured in nanograms per deciliter. And you have a T level, and you have to have your medical provider send a letter to the rules director. And that could be just maybe a softball league in the summer. You'd have to have a paperwork from your medical provider, and we'll use the term of have your T level under 144 nanograms per deciliter for 36 months as a starter. This is just recreational.
Okay, so
with no locker rooms.
Okay,
you show up and have a drink after. But for sports where you're talking scholarships are on the line, livelihoods, financial, you don't. Yeah, we have to take a second look at that.
Okay, so from your perspective, I'm just trying to see if I catch this right. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. You believe that for recreation, as long as you meet certain hormonal requirements, there shouldn't be an issue. But for competitive sports, we should re-examine and see what would be a fair balance between letting trans in and having women compete against only women.
We already have to follow those guidelines to compete in elite level women's sports, and I don't think it's working right now.
Yeah, there. At the Olympics, there was a female sprinter or runner of some sort that got rejected from one of the races because of her testosterone level. She wasn't on drugs; it's just her natural testosterone level. They got rejected from that, but trans athletes come in with higher testosterone than that, and were still allowed to compete.
Originally, the Olympics had set the bar until November of 2021 when they relegated it to each sport using their own policy. It was 12 months with a testosterone level of 288 nanograms per deciliter for 12 months. That's the United States Bowling Congress uses that metric, and they took another step though. You have to send a video of your game to headquarters. We're going to analyze it. They have the ability to computer view your metrics and how it would stand against women.
Okay. All right. Since we brought up Moms for Liberty, those radical extremists.
Oh yeah.
Books. So I've looked into some of the things that are in the books. One of the books was Flamer. There's a depiction of young boys putting their male specimen into a bottle, and one of them that isn't able to put their own specimen in the bottle has to drink it. So a reasonable and prudent person will look at that situation and go, oh my God, that is horrible. Absolutely horrible that they're doing that. Why do they always make trans people look depraved and as sexual deviants? Anyone from the LGBT community look like deviants. What do you think about that? Because every single trans book I'm seeing in school has some sort of sexual deviancy or sexual representation in there. Is that all trans people think about? All gay people and lesbians think about?
No. We're trying to think about just trying to blend in and live our lives.
So why is it always inside of all of the books they're trying to give the children?
Teachers unions, I guess. Remember, this comes from social emotional learning and critical race theory. Then all the other woke diversity, equity, inclusion curriculums and agendas. And these are part of your school grants from Department of Education being taught. And somehow, the book Genderqueer was somehow, quote, recommended reading for kids. And that book is kind of on a similar theme to Flamer, which I read an excerpt of it at the November Connecticut State Board of Education meeting not that far away in Hartford.
Okay, another way you can look at it, and this one is going to make a lot of people uncomfortable, and I think if you really want to get rid of these books, this is how you should approach it. Encourage these books in school. Encourage all of the children to read it, because then it shows you how deviant and sexually obsessed the trans, lesbian, gay community are. you don't even have to fight it. Just yes, have all of the kids read it so that they can see these people as the deviants that they are. So that is another way people can look at these books. Yes, let's encourage all of the kids and parents to read it so they can learn to hate these trans people.
I wish we'd have better books with better representation for same sex and attracted to both sex and those with gender dysphoria. Without being explicit like this.
Yeah, like when I was growing up, I had gay friends, trans friends. I still do. And none of them really talk like that. None of them fantasize about little boys with bottles filled with stuff. None of them fantasize about 10-year-olds trying to find adult men for activities. And suddenly that is all that gets pushed on us for the LGBT people. All they're trying to do is have sex and have the weirdest fantasies. And that is all we see in the books. We see nothing else.
Pushed on us. We're in groups. LGBT group. People with darker skin color group. People that speak 4 different languages, different religion. See, now we're being put in groups. And everyone has, well, you have to be a Democrat to be LGBT.
So
if you're pushing these books, right? You're pushing these books, right? You'll make it look bad. It's Democrats doing this.
So you don't qualify as LGBTQ because you're not a Democrat?
Yeah, I keep looking for my victim card. I guess it must have been revoked when people found out I'm conservative.
Yeah, like
but these we're all being groups to be divided against. If you're gonna have books, can we have some better representation? This isn't our true selves.
Like I have friends in every community. I want them to be happy, safe, pursue the things that make them happy, find love and all of that. But when this is the only way people are exposed to them as children, you're putting my friends, people that I love and care about, at danger. Even if you're not my friend, I still love and care for you. Even the people that I oppose that want to write books like this, I still want them to be happy, healthy, and so on. And you're just putting people at risk by promoting this stuff as normal.
You think these books they don't help me, they hurt me with all the negativity.
Do people look at you and automatically assume you support certain of these books and ideology because of your identity?
I think there's some, and when I explain my position, there's some people, oh, okay, I didn't know, I thought you were all like that. Yeah, there is guilt by association.
Yeah, honestly, the first time I met you, I was like, oh my God, what is this person
doing? Pedophile, right? Yeah,
what evil. Is this person doing here? What are they here to talk about? Oh my God, I'm going to hate every moment of this. And then I actually got to meet you as a person and talk to you, and I'm like, I guess they're not a bad person. They don't fit the mold of what I was expecting. And yeah, I did do a prejudgment on that, and I was wrong for it. I should have taken the time to talk to you before I jumped to it.
That's all I ask for people to do. You know, if you're a person in the LGBT community, give them at least a chance to talk. At least judge them on the character if you can.
Yeah, when I mentioned I was going to be talking to you, one of my friends said, oh, I know this trans person you should talk to. They're in a complete opposite spectrum. I said, okay, that sounds really nice. And I spoke to them, and they were just incapable of having a conversation without being angry. And they said that it was because they were passionate. But you're passionate about what you do, but you're not here yelling and screaming as soon as I bring up things that you may not like.
I want people to hear my story. You know, obviously, never everything's gonna be great. It's never good. And we're talking about what schools. Why can't schools do this? Simple. Hey, you don't need a curriculum to say this. Everyone's different. So why don't we learn to respect each other and be kind to each other? That's all.
Okay, that sounds like a very lovely way to end this. Do you have anything else you want to say before we cut?
Look, I know there's a lot of negativity towards people with gender dysphoria. There's a lot of the L, the G, and the B. They want to divorce the TQ plus, and I'm trans. I view myself as TS, transsexual. And yes, we do have like a little civil war going. But don't. If you want to judge me, please at least hear me out before you make any judgments.
And we should do that for everyone.
Exactly. And why? Look. We have a totalitarian government agenda just driving people into different groups. And that's how they're getting total control on us. Let's use our voices to come together.
Okay, I love it. Thank you for joining us. And when I say us, I mean the people watching, all 5 of you, because it's just me and her alone here in the studio. And you beautiful people have a lovely day.